Welcome to the Feast, where the focus is supporting students, families, and teachers with critical thinking strategies, tools, and resources that enhance student learning and increase academic performance. My name is Nasira Walters, and I've worked in the education system for over 2 decades as an English teacher, literacy coach, and mentor. Today we're going to focus on Socratic discussions. When I say Socratic, I'm referring to Socrates, who focused on the idea of questioning that expands students' learning. And so our Socratic discussion supports the process of expanding on ideas. I created levels of criteria for students to review in order to determine which level they desire to meet as it pertains to engaging in the Socratic discussions. So for sake of time, I'm going to focus on one level of criteria, and I'll get into the specifics of each of these criteria for this level. So when students are preparing for their discussions, these are the criteria that they need to examine and to ensure that they have before entering the discussion. And the first criteria deals with notes and questions. So as the student in middle or high school, you are ensuring that your notes and questions and annotations are supporting or emphasizing the central idea or theme. You're also ensuring that you have a sufficient number of notes so that you are able to engage in the discussion throughout. So you want to just ensure that you have that in mind. Next, your knowledge base. In terms of the knowledge, you want to convey that you understand the topic, that what you are presenting in the discussion is relevant to the topic at hand. And one of the things that you can do in order to support that process is maybe have a classmate, a peer, a friend that has viewed or read the content. You can get feedback from them. For me, I provide opportunities for students to engage in collaborative feedback at some point before the discussion, but not with the group members that they will engage in the discussion with, because then that will take away from their discussion. Moving on, we have connections. So students, you are referring to the content throughout the discussion, and you are referring in a way that it expresses that it connects to the central idea or theme. So whether that's an idea you're presenting, a question, a perspective, your question, perspective, or idea needs to convey that you see the connection and that we see the connection to the central idea or theme. I want to add that sometimes students make connections beyond the text or beyond the content, and this is highly encouraged. Just be mindful that when that happens, it may directly connect to the central idea or theme, or indirectly connect to the central idea or theme, because going beyond the content can provide another or include another idea, but the student must convey or express the idea in a way that shows the connection between that idea presented and the event or idea in the content itself that already connects to the central idea and or theme. So just keep that in mind. In terms of engagement, here we have that the student is required to engage at least 3 times. What I emphasize when we engage in these discussions, and I don't know if I said it, but we engage in these discussions typically every other week to reinforce the skills that are being addressed, and there are many. So I require that students engage in the beginning, middle, and end of the discussion, and students are aware that each discussion group has 10 minutes, and I typically have 6 groups. And moving on to building on ideas. So students are required to build on the ideas of their peers through higher level questioning and relevant responses. So this requires, just like in the first criteria, this requires that the response to the questions or the answers to the questions that are presented should not be directly stated in the content, because this does not provoke thought of your peers. So you want to ensure that your questions do not have answers that are directly stated in the content itself. Lastly, you want to be attentive, and your person must convey this, express this, meaning your posture, sitting up straight, not slouching in your chair, your demeanor, your facial expression shows that you are highly and actively engaged in the discussion. And this is consistent throughout the discussion, and that all aspects of your behavior demonstrate respect and attentiveness to your peers. Now, this is a process, as I stated earlier, that will help you to prepare yourself for your discussions in your classrooms. Now, as for the benefits of this process, it's crucial because there's something called the learning pyramid. And with the learning pyramid, we are able to identify the rate at which students are able to retain their learning. And so that is what I want us to look at this moment. Let's do this. Okay. So this is a learning pyramid that it was adapted from the National Institute of Applied Behavioral Science. And what this expresses, as you can see, is the average retention rates when students are engaged in different types of teaching and learning. So for the discussion, they retain 50%. However, because of the Socratic discussion structure, we actually engage in all levels of this pyramid. So students are practicing through the discussion. They are indirectly teaching each other the various types of questions. The demonstration component is also included because they are demonstrating specific ideas with examples as well in the discussion. The audiovisual component can come in when the teacher is presenting, let's say, an audio and or visual tool. The student may also utilize this in their discussion to emphasize a point. And of course, there's reading that takes place, whether it's students are reading a portion of the text or there is literature that they need to read, and the teacher providing instruction and models for the expectation is the lecture component. Now, we can see here that the lower part from discussion on to the base, down to the base, is a more active approach for retention of information. And as we move up the pyramid, it's a more passive approach. And then we have the different types of learners, auditory, visual, kinesthetic, in terms of where they learn best. So this is something to consider as a teacher when you are engaging students in learning. Now, going back to the actual discussion criteria, students are to utilize this in order to prepare for their discussions. If this and any part of this was useful to you, or you know someone who could benefit from this in middle or high school, please like, share, and subscribe. And next week, we will be moving on to another topic. And again, please like, subscribe, and share. And I look forward to seeing you next week. Bye-bye.